Let me tell you something that might sting a little. Most people who are broke aren't broke because they don't make enough money. They're broke because of what they do the moment money hits their account. I've sat across the table from people who make $300,000 a year and are drowning. And I've sat across from a school teacher making $60,000 a year who has a $2 million net worth and doesn't even know it yet. Same income bracket doesn't mean same wealth. Same effort doesn't mean same outcome. So what's the difference? It's not luck. It's not some secret stock tip. It's not an inheritance. It's habits. Boring, unglamorous, repetitive habits, practiced for years, sometimes decades, without anyone clapping for them. And today, I'm going to hand you all 8 of them. Not 5, 8. Because the 2 I added at the end are the ones almost nobody talks about. And they might matter more than all the others combined. Stay with me till the end, because the last habit is the one that quietly multiplies every single habit before it. Let's get into it. As a financial advisor, I've had a front row seat to the real financial lives of hundreds of wealthy families. Not the Instagram version, not the rented Lambo borrowed watch version, the real bank statements, the real net worth, the real spreadsheets. And here's what nobody tells you. Wealthy people are, on average, some of the most boring humans you'll ever meet financially. They don't chase, they don't gamble, they repeat the same unsexy actions year after year until the results become impossible to ignore. These are the same habits that changed my own financial life, and I want to hand them to you today. All 8, in plain language, with real numbers, so you can start using them this week. Habit 1. Living on less than you make. I call this one the leg day of personal finance. Everybody knows they should do it. Almost nobody actually wants to. Living on less than you make is really just one concept wearing a fancy name: deferred gratification. The willingness to give up something today in exchange for something far bigger down the road. And I get it, that's hard. Our brains are wired for the reward right now, not the reward in 20 years. It's my money, and I need it now. Meanwhile, there is a trillion-dollar industry built entirely around exploiting that exact instinct. Instagram ads, TikTok influencers, buy now, pay later apps sitting at checkout, whispering, "You deserve this," even when your bank account is whispering something very different back. But if you want to build wealth, you need margin. Financial margin, the space between what you earn and what you spend, because that margin is the only fuel that saving and investing can run on. When we surveyed our own clients, real wealthy families, 60% of them told us they paid cash for their last vehicle. 60%. That tells you they weren't buying more car than they could afford. And around 42% of them are saving 25% or more of their gross income. You cannot do that by accident. You can only do that by living on less than you make, on purpose, every single month. This is the foundation. Every other habit on this list sits on top of this one. Habit 2. The power of saying no. This one sounds almost too simple to matter, but the data says otherwise. I've learned, over years of doing this, that building wealth isn't only about what you do with your money, it's just as much about what you refuse to do with it. And I'm not just talking about the big stuff, I'm talking about the small leaks. The food delivery fees, the subscriptions you forgot you're paying for, the just this once dinners that turn into every week. None of those things are catastrophic on their own, but quietly, in the background, they can chew through hundreds of dollars a month, money that could have compounded for 30 years instead. And yes, this applies to the big decisions too. Turning down the vacation you genuinely can't afford right now. Passing on the car upgrade when your current car runs just fine. Here's the pattern I've watched play out again and again. The people who learn to say no consistently to the small things are the exact same people who get to say yes to the big things later. The house, the early retirement, the freedom to walk away from a job they hate. Saying no isn't restriction, it's you buying your future self a bigger yes. Habit 3. Stop trying to look rich. Here's a habit that separates people who are actually wealthy from people who are just performing wealth for an audience. I bought a Rolex once after I'd reached a level of success where I could genuinely afford it. I've worn it maybe a handful of times since. Why? Because it didn't count my steps. It didn't check the weather. It didn't do anything my $30 watch does, except tell people, look, I have money. Same story with cars. I've owned nice vehicles, but you will not find me in a Lamborghini. Not because I couldn't afford it, because I understand the math behind it. Every single dollar you spend trying to look wealthy is a dollar that will never sit in your investment account, compounding quietly for 20 or 30 years. And over that kind of timeline, that math gets brutal. Thomas Stanley wrote an entire book about this, The Millionaire Next Door. His core finding: most millionaires do not look like millionaires. Real wealth is quiet, and our own client data backs this up completely. 84% of our wealthy clients drive the same car for 7 years or more. 68.6% went to a public university, compared to just 21% who went private. And here's the one that should stop you in your tracks. 76.4% of them made their first $1 million simply by saving and investing consistently. Not by founding a startup, not by becoming an executive, not by being some kind of financial genius, just quietly saving, quietly investing, for a long, long time. They would rather be wealthy than look wealthy. That single mindset shift changes everything. Habit 4. Protect yourself from the scary stuff. This next habit is one of the most important on this entire list, and it's also one of the most ignored. Building wealth takes years, sometimes decades of consistent effort, and the last thing you want, after all that work, is for one single bad event to unravel it overnight. There are two pieces to this. First, proper insurance. Home insurance and car insurance are usually required anyway, so those are non-negotiable. Health insurance is a must. Life insurance is essential if anyone depends on your income. Disability insurance matters more than people realize, because your ability to earn an income is probably your single biggest financial asset. And as your wealth grows, an umbrella policy becomes worth a serious look. I know insurance premiums can feel like money disappearing into thin air for absolutely nothing, but the moment something actually happens and you don't have the right coverage, that premium suddenly looks incredibly small compared to what you could owe. Second piece, your emergency fund. 93.5% of our wealthy clients keep at least 3 to 6 months of cash reserves sitting untouched. Let that number sink in. 94%, roughly. That cash buffer changes everything about how you handle a crisis. A job loss doesn't force you into high-interest debt. A major car repair doesn't touch your investment contributions. You absorb the shock and keep walking forward, instead of getting knocked back years. Protecting what you've built is just as important as building it in the first place. Habit 5. The annual net worth statement. This habit is boring for most people, but if you're the kind of person who actually enjoys watching numbers grow, you're going to love this one. Early in your financial life, tracking every single expense down to the coffee you bought this morning can genuinely help. There's a season for that kind of detail. But over time, what actually matters isn't whether you tracked every transaction, it's whether your overall financial picture is moving in the right direction. And the single best tool for that is a simple annual net worth statement. It's straightforward, List everything you own, subtract everything you owe. What's left is your net worth. What you're watching for, year after year, is direction. Are your assets growing? Is your debt shrinking? Is the overall number heading up? Do this once a year, same time every year, and you will be genuinely amazed at how motivating it becomes to watch that number climb. Habit 6. Invest the raise, not the lifestyle. Here's a habit almost nobody talks about, and it might be the single biggest wealth killer hiding in plain sight. Lifestyle creep. You get a raise, a bonus, a promotion, and almost automatically your spending rises right along with it. Bigger apartment, nicer car, more dinners out. Within a year, you're earning more than ever and somehow still living paycheck to paycheck. Wealthy people break this cycle in one specific way. Every time their income goes up, they increase their savings and investing rate first, and only then decide what, if anything, their lifestyle deserves. Think about it like this. If you get a 10% raise and you invest that entire 10% before you ever see it hit your checking account, your lifestyle stays exactly the same, but your future just got dramatically bigger. You genuinely won't miss money you never adjusted to spending. This one habit alone, done consistently over a 20 or 30-year career, can be the difference between retiring comfortably and retiring wealthy. Habit 7. Surround yourself with people who pull you forward. Money habits are contagious. You will, without even realizing it, start to mirror the financial behavior of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your circle normalizes spending everything they make, upgrading every year, and financing every purchase, that becomes your normal too, even if you never consciously decide it should. Wealthy people are deliberate about this. They seek out mentors, friends, and communities where saving and investing is normal conversation, not something to hide out of embarrassment. They ask questions, they read, they listen to people who are further down the financial road than they are. This isn't about cutting people out of your life. It's about being honest with yourself. Are the people closest to you making it easier or harder to build the life you actually want? And are you spending any time at all around people whose habits you'd like to inherit? Habit 8. The bonus habit that ties everything together. Always be buying. I told you there were 8. This last one is the habit that quietly multiplies every single habit before it. Always be buying. I cannot stress this enough. You need to be consistently investing every single month, whether the market is soaring or whether it's crashing, especially when it's crashing. I've watched people try to time the market for years, convinced they'll jump in right at the bottom and out right at the top. The research on this is not kind to that strategy. If you had missed just the 5 best trading days between 1988 and 2023, you would have missed 37% of your total gains. Miss the best 10 days, and you've lost 54% of your returns. Miss the best 30 days, and 83% of your gains are gone. Miss the best 50 days, and you've given up 92% of what you could have earned. Read that again. 92% from missing just 50 days out of roughly 9,000 trading days in that stretch. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. The investors who build the most wealth are not the ones who guessed right. They're the ones who stayed invested through every single downturn and kept their contributions coming no matter what the headlines said. And the good news? This is a habit you can automate completely. Set up your 401k contributions, your Roth IRA, your brokerage deposits. Make them happen automatically, without you having to think about it, without willpower required every month. Let's bring it all together. 8 habits. Living on less than you make, saying no to the small leaks, refusing to perform wealth you don't have, protecting what you've built with insurance and cash reserves, tracking your net worth once a year, investing your raises instead of inflating your lifestyle, surrounding yourself with people who pull you forward, and always continuing to buy. None of these habits are complicated. None of them require a genius-level IQ or some insider secret. What they require is discipline, the willingness to do boring, repeatable things for years, long after the excitement wears off. I can tell you, from my own life and from the hundreds of client stories I've watched unfold, that the path to financial independence really is this simple. Simple, not easy. There's a difference. But here's the thing to remember. These 8 habits are not a plan. They're the foundation a plan gets built on top of. If you're ready to go further and actually build that plan, stay tuned, because that's exactly where we're headed next. Until then, keep it boring, keep it consistent, and keep building toward your great big, beautiful tomorrow.